Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K was the first camera I owned where I didn't feel like my skill level was getting held back by the quality of the images the camera could produce. Up until then, I'd always felt like I had to make compromises when it came to the images I wanted to achieve. Now it's the other way around. I feel if I want to achieve a particular image or style and I can't do it, it's not because of the camera. It's me that needs to work harder, it's me that needs to improve my skills, it's me that needs to learn more. People can disagree, but I find the image to have a very cinematic quality to it. It's not just the reproduction of the colours or the dynamic range, it's detailed without being digitally sharp, but there's also something about the way the camera captures movement. People argue about whether image cadence is a real thing or not. I don't know the answer to that, but there's truly something about the image from this camera that feels different to many other video cameras on the market. If you've ever seen one of Philip Bloom's excellent review videos, you'll know just how many options and features some cameras can have. Philip has these epic videos devoted to testing all the possible options. No rock is left unturned. They're fantastic to watch, and it's great that camera companies are always innovating and including new things. But to me personally, they're a bit too much. More choice can actually make you unhappy. There's literally experiments that show the more options you have, the more chance you'll get buyer's remorse, or you'll end up in analysis paralysis, overwhelmed with options, never moving forward because you don't know where to start. Blackmagic talk about digital film. They mean this relating to image quality, but to me this feels like a digital film camera. You don't have endless options and menus. You don't have any debate about which is the best autofocus system or option to use, or if log 2 is better for grading than log 3. Your options are much closer to what a film camera would have. Frame rate, shutter angle, aperture. Of course there are other options in this camera, but they feel more controlled, and I like that. The camera gets out of the way, leaving you to hone your skills. I know that I'd be someone who was always thinking, did I have the best possible setup that I could with my camera? Was I missing out on something other people with the same camera knew? With this camera, I don't have any of those worries because, well, the combination of options is so limited. More isn't always better. This camera is over 4 years old, but the last update was actually implemented only a few months back. Blackmagic have definitely embraced the mobile phone idea of continuously bringing out updates, not just bug fixes, but proper updates. Other companies have been forced to follow suit, which is no bad thing. I've always felt that if Blackmagic could bring a new feature to this camera, if the hardware would allow it, they would do it. There's no cripple hammer to protect other cameras in their lineup here. Being able to shoot compressed RAW internally is nothing short of amazing. Having the option to change color temperature or ISO in post opens up an almost endless number of possibilities when it comes to creating your final look. Not to mention giving you a feeling of security that if you've messed things up, it's not unfixable in post. Most of the time anyway. I've heard of some people who prefer the Cinema DNG uncompressed RAW that originally came with this camera. At some point I might try to reset my camera back to that just to test it out. If you've had success with that, please let me know down in the comments because I'd be very interested in doing that. But for me, the small file sizes that you get with B-RAW and the flexibility that it offers makes me never want to go back to having a camera that can't record RAW video internally. I used Joel Familaro's Phantom LUTS to colour grade all the B-roll in this video. If you like the way it looks, then you can check out the link in the description and use the code CHRIS15 to get a 15% discount at checkout. This camera isn't perfect. No camera is. There are definitely things that annoy me from time to time about it. You can check some of my other videos out if you don't believe me. It's strange though because sometimes the best things aren't perfect. Wabi sabi, the acceptance of imperfection. It's possible to love something and still see its flaws. This camera will always look as good as it does now. As new cameras come out, older ones don't become worse. It's surprising how many people think that they do. 4K will always be 4K. With HD, we probably reached a tipping point where the doubling of resolution brought diminishing returns in terms of image quality. From the proper viewing distance, our eyes just can't perceive the difference. There's a reason all TV showrooms are laid out like this. It's to force you to look at the TV from point-blank range, where more pixels will make a difference. Arri released a new 4K camera this year. If it's anything like their other cameras, it will be a workhorse of the film and TV industry for the next decade or so. They obviously don't see 4K going away anytime soon. Cameras will get better, autofocus, dynamic range, low light performance will all improve in the future. But all these things make it easier to get good footage. They don't actually make the footage good by being merely included. Blackmagic might even bring out their own replacement for this camera, a cube camera even, but it won't make the images from this one worse. You might not feel the same way about this camera that I do, and that's cool, everything is subjective. Hopefully you have found a camera, whatever it is, that doesn't limit your abilities. But if you do feel the same way about this camera as me, and you want to get even more out of it, then maybe you want to check out this video.